everyone, David Wallach here, New View Safety Coach. We're back for number 15 in the Don't Watch series. It was 15, just double checking. Memory like a sieve. But before I get on to the blog post, which by the way is a super exciting one, I wanted to give a bit of a brief update as to where we are with the channel. I know I put out a video last week with an update, but things are just moving ridiculously fast at the moment. So I wanted to just put this out there. Yesterday, which was the 15th of March, we hit 300 subscribers on the website, on the YouTube channel. And as of now, this morning, on the 16th, the next day, we are at 318 subscribers. So a massive, huge shout out to everybody who has subscribed. It's really strange. It's nice. It's really nice, and but I don't know what it means. I still don't know what it means, and I don't know. I suppose just play it by ear and see what happens. Anyway, the blog. So the blog is fresh off the block. Blog off the block, because it was it's covering a topic which we talked about last week in our lecture, Coaching Psychology, University of Sydney, and it was around this concept of goals. Got to keep on pulling me up whenever I say Whenever I thought of goals prior to this lecture, I thought of SMART goals. I thought of goals as just being all goals pretty much being not identical, but the idea, the concept behind them being the same. So it's a point in the future that you want to aim for, and you're going to go for that. And that was it. That was all my conceptualization of goals really was. Turns out so wrong, which is a great thing I love about learning. You learn how wrong you are. It's a painful process some of the times, but it's a good process because we get to learn. We just got to be willing and ready to accept that we are the novices and we don't know anything, and listen to the experts. So it turns out that not all goals are created equally. That would have been a really good title for my blog post. Not all goals are created equally. Instead, I give it a really boring name, which we'll cover in a second. The hidden complexity of goals. Not quite as good, is it? Anyway, so really excited about this. Like I said, we just learned about it, and I thought that'd be amazing. That'd be awesome to bring. I would have brought it sooner, but last week was chock-a-block with study, with doing interviews. I did 3 interviews, 2. Supposed to be 3. Did 2 interviews last week, a whole heap of other blog work, LinkedIn work. There's arranging future interviews with some industry leaders from all over the world as well. So now we've got you here. Now I'm here. Now I've got myself set up. Let's go through it. I'll shimmy on over again. Create some space. Now I'm likely to, because I've only just learned about this and I want to make sure I get it across properly. I'm likely to read the whole thing and give a little bit of interjection in between. It's not a long post anyway. It's one of the shorter ones I think I've ever written, so it won't take long. Plus it saves me the stress of trying to remember again something new that I've only just learned about. So as I mentioned, the title, am I far enough over? I do this every week. The hidden complexity of goals. We often think of goals as simple, straightforward targets to aim for, something I mentioned earlier. Things like increase sales by 15% or lose 10 pounds. But as the research highlighted in this academic paper shows, goals are actually much more nuanced and complex than we typically assume. Great thing to learn. In the paper, an integrated model of goal-focused coaching by Anthony M. Grant, who unfortunately is dead now, but he's the gentleman who set up this coaching psychology degree, master's, at University of Sydney. So he's the founding professor, I believe, for this course. In the paper, An Integrated Model of Goal-Focused Coaching by Anthony M. Grant, 2012, the author dives deep into the robust psychological literature on goals. He makes the case that an overly simplistic understanding of goals, such as equating them merely with SMART criteria, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, can actually hamper coaching effectiveness. It's a shock, isn't it? Well, I mean, this was a shock for me, learning that goals are more nuanced. The reality is that there are over 20 different types of goals that can impact the coaching process in distinct ways. Grant outlines several key distinctions, including time framing, distal long-term goals versus proximal short-term goals, with the timing influencing perceptions of attainability. Now this goes into, if you set yourself a goal for 10 years' time, and it is to be, a goal in 10 years' time, it's obviously going to be something that you want to achieve, but it's in 10 years' time. Your commitment is likely to not be as full, full's not probably the right word. Your commitment to that long-term goal, the goal that's potentially too far in the future, is not going to be as strong potentially. You're not going to have as much commitment. You're not going to be as invested in it as if it was a short-term goal. If it's a long-term goal, you can put it off. Maybe put it off and continue to put it off. Where if it's a short-term goal, this isn't for all goals. This is just a particular facet of goals that needs to be taken into account when you're dealing with someone who wants to set goals. Because this could be a factor, one of 20 or more, that could affect the attainment of that goal. The next different types of goals. And these are usually put in contrasting, as we saw with the proximal and the distal. Abstract versus concrete goals. So the difference in this is the specificity, i.e. saying, I want to be a top student, which is an abstract goal, versus I want to study 2 hours a day every day, which is a far more concrete goal and will likely lead to you being a better student. This is also similar to the distal and proximal goals, insofar as in 10 years' time I want to be a better student. Or for this semester I want to study 2 hours a day every day. See the difference there? Approach versus avoidance goals. Approaching a desired state, e.g. work-life balance, versus avoiding an undesired state, e.g. less stress. Approach-focused goals tend to be more beneficial. So what that's saying is, this goes back to the solution focus as well. Instead of focusing on what you don't want, no, sorry, that's not right, is it? Approaching desired state versus avoid. See, this is why I wanted to read it, because I've still not got my head entirely around this as well, which is good that we're going through this. So, approach versus avoidance. Okay, yeah. So I want to avoid having too much stress at work. Makes you focus on too much stress at work. If you say, I want to achieve work-life balance, which is the approach goal as opposed to the avoidance goal, it's more like you're more likely to achieve it because you're focusing on a future positive state, the approach, as opposed to the avoidance. I know I'm waffling on a bit, aren't I? Hope you're keeping up with me. I'm barely keeping up with me, to be honest with you. I was so excited about doing this, and now I'm sat down and I'm reading my own blog, and I'm having to remind myself about the lecture last week, and so much has happened between now and then. So, excuses, I know. Next one, performance versus learning goals. Performance goals are about demonstrating competence, targets, budgets, while learning goals prioritize acquiring new abilities. Over-indexing on performance can impair growth, especially for complex goals. Now there was also as well, it's not on your screen, it's on mine. There was a good example given in the lecture. So the example given in the lecture was for complex performance targets. I remember what the example he gave at the time. I think it was someone trying to sell 20 franchisees in 12 months, which apparently is a very, very complex process. Each time a franchisee wants to buy in, the legal ramifications, the purchasing, financial, it's really, really complex. So, the example our lecturer gave was for complex targets or goals, you're better off setting a learning goal. So he gave an example of selling 20 franchisors in 12 months to researching 3 ways each month to speed the process up, to speed the sales process up. See how that's different? So the first one is based on the performance, 20 sales effectively per 12 months of highly complex process. The reframing of the goal, more to a learning style goal, is researching 3 ways per month or per week, whatever you want to do, to improve the sales process. So by default, if you're improving and making faster the sales process, you're more likely to hit the 20 sales per year. It's also more motivating for you because you can easily do 3 per week or 3 per month, and you're learning along the way. So you're getting that dopamine hit each time because you're getting closer and closer and closer, as opposed to maybe being 10 months into a 12-month sales cycle and you still are only 50% of the target. That's going to be very demotivating for you. You're likely to stop towards the end. Whereas if you're researching 3 new ways every week or every month, I can't remember what it was I said now, you're likely to keep on hitting those. And the fact that maybe you're not hitting the 20 per month at that time isn't all that bad, because you've done all this growing and learning on how to speed up the process generally. I hope that made sense, because I know I'm waffling on. So that's performance versus learning. Next paragraph. The paper argues that by deeply understanding this nuanced goal taxonomy, coaches can work more effectively with clients to set goals that engage their intrinsic motivation, facilitate actionable strategies, and ultimately lead to greater growth and well-being. So the next time you think about setting a goal, remember, goals are more than just a simple endpoint. The type of goal you set and how you frame it can meaningfully impact your ability to achieve that goal and thrive along the journey. So remember, it's not just about the endpoint. Human behavior is incredibly complex, which means the goals that direct our behavior are also rich with layers and distinctions. Mastering those distinctions may be the difference between achieving surface level compliance and unlocking deep engagement. See, told you it wouldn't take long to read the blog post. What are we at? 15 minutes, 14 minutes. Interesting stuff, isn't it? I'll put a link, as always, to the blog post. The name of the article's in this blog post already. Is there anything else I need to add to this? I don't think there is. I think we're pretty much done. 15 minutes, almost on the nose. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. And thank you again if you subscribe. Very much appreciated.